Just for a moment. Stop what you're doing. Stop scrolling. Stop thinking about everything else on your mind. Because this specific message, was not placed in front of you by accident. You didn't find this. This found you. And I need you to understand that before we go any further. Because what I'm about to share with you, it isn't comfortable. It isn't easy to hear. But it is necessary. It is urgent. And it comes directly from the heart of heaven. My child, I see you. Not the version of you that you show the world. Not the smile you put on in the morning. Not the voice you use when someone asks, "How are you doing?" I see the real you. The one who lies awake at night, staring at the ceiling, replaying conversations in your mind. The one who has been feeling something lately. Something unsettled. Something you can't quite name. Like a low hum beneath everything. Like a feeling of unease that you've been trying to push down. You've been trying to ignore it. You've been telling yourself it's nothing. That you're overthinking. That everything is fine. But deep inside, deep in that quiet place where only truth lives, you know something isn't right. And that's why I'm here. I am Archangel Michael, warrior of heaven, protector of the innocent, guardian of those who are chosen by God's grace. And I have been sent to you today with a very specific message. Not a general message, not something meant for the masses. This is yours. It has your name on it. It carries your energy. It was written in the halls of heaven. For this exact moment in your life. Because there is someone in your life right now. Someone you trust. Someone you've opened yourself up to. Someone who knows your heart. Someone who has seen your vulnerabilities. And they are planning something. Not in the distant future. Not, someday. Mid-January. That is when things will come to a head. That is when the mask will slip. That is when you will see clearly what I am showing you right now. And I need you to see it before it happens. Not after. Before. Because heaven does not warn you so you can feel pain. Heaven warns you so you can be protected. Let me paint the picture for you. Because I want you to recognize this person. I want your spirit to confirm what your mind has been too afraid to accept. This person, they are warm on the surface. They are friendly. They know the right things to say. They know how to make you feel special. They've been in your life for some time now. Not a stranger. Not someone on the edges. Someone close. Someone in your inner circle. Someone you've shared meals with. Someone you've confided in. Someone who has sat across from you and looked you in the eyes. While quietly planning what comes next. And here is what I need you to understand. This isn't about hate. This isn't about pure evil. This is about something far more common. And in some ways, far more painful. This person is operating from fear. From jealousy. From unhealed wounds that they have never addressed. They look at your life. And they see something they want. Or something they resent. Maybe it's your peace. Maybe it's your progress. Maybe it's a relationship you have. Maybe it's the way God has been blessing you lately. And instead of celebrating you, instead of being happy for what you've built, they have allowed something dark to grow in their heart. And that darkness, it has a plan for you. Now before we go deeper, I want you to breathe. Take a breath, a real one, in through your nose. Hold it, let it out slowly. Because this message is not here to terrify you. This message is here to arm you. And there is a massive difference between those two things. Fear paralyzes. Truth liberates. And what I'm giving you right now is truth. Raw, direct, heaven-sent truth. Think about the people in your life right now. Think about who comes to mind first. Not who you consciously choose to think about. I mean the first face that flashes before you. The first name that surfaces. Pay attention to that. Because your spirit already knows. Your spirit has been trying to tell you for weeks. Maybe months. There have been signs. Small ones. The kind you can easily explain away. A comment that felt slightly off. A look in their eyes that lasted just a second too long. A moment where their response to your good news felt flat, a little forced, a little hollow. You noticed it. You told yourself you were reading too much into things. You gave them the benefit of the doubt. Because that's who you are. You are a person with a big heart. You want to see the best in people. You don't want to be the kind of person who thinks negatively about others. And that is beautiful. That is one of the things God loves most about you. But right now, that beautiful quality is being used against you. There is a scripture that speaks to this very moment. Matthew chapter 10:16. I am sending you out like sheep among wolves. Therefore be as shrewd as serpents and as innocent as doves. Do you hear that? God Himself said it. Be innocent, but be shrewd. Be loving, but be aware. You are allowed to love someone fully, and still recognize when they do not mean you well. Those two things can coexist. And right now, I am asking you to activate that second part. The shrewdness, the discernment, the spiritual vision that goes beyond what the eyes can see. Because this person, they've been watching you very carefully. They know your schedule. They know your habits. They know what matters to you. They know who matters to you. And they have been quietly gathering information. Not necessarily maliciously in the way you might imagine a villain. No, it's more subtle than that. It's casual conversations. It's questions that feel like small talk. It's checking in just often enough to stay close. It's being available at the right moments. It's creating a sense of loyalty, so that when they make their move, you'll be caught completely off guard. Because you trusted them. Because you let them in. Because everything on the surface looked just fine. And here is where I need to speak very directly to you. Because there is something you have been feeling in your gut. Not just recently. For a while now. There has been a whisper. Quiet. Barely audible above the noise of everyday life. But it has been there. Something isn't right. Pay attention to this. Be careful. That wasn't anxiety. That wasn't paranoia. That was the Holy Spirit speaking to you. That was the protective voice of heaven trying to get through. And I know life gets busy. I know you have so many things demanding your attention. I know it's easier to dismiss something uncomfortable than to sit with it. But I need you to hear this clearly. That inner voice was right. It has always been right. And it is speaking to you right now. Let me ask you something. And I want you to be honest. Not with me, with yourself. Is there someone in your life right now who makes you feel just slightly less than after spending time with them? Not dramatically, not obviously, but just slightly, like a tiny bit of your light got dimmed, like you walked away from them and something felt a little heavier. Is there someone who always seems to bring up your past failures? Maybe in a joking way. Maybe in a concerned way. But they keep bringing them up. Is there someone who questions your decisions just a little too often? Who subtly undermines your confidence? Who seems supportive but then you notice they never quite fully celebrate you? Is there someone who asks very specific questions about your life? Your finances? Your relationships, your plans, under the guise of caring. But something about it feels like they're collecting data? If any of that resonated with you, I need you to stay with me. Because what comes next is important. Mid-January is not far away. And I want you to understand what harm means in this context. Because harm doesn't always look like what you see in movies. Harm isn't always physical. Harm isn't always dramatic. Sometimes harm looks like a conversation that destroys your reputation. Words spoken behind your back. To people who matter to you. To people whose opinion of you shapes your opportunities. Sometimes harm looks like a betrayal of your trust. Private things you shared in vulnerable moments. Used as weapons at the worst possible time. Sometimes harm looks like being cut out. Excluded. Abandoned without warning. After you had counted on this person as a pillar in your life. Sometimes harm looks like a financial wound. Something involving money, a joint plan, a shared resource, or a business arrangement that suddenly reveals itself to be one-sided, in their favor. And sometimes harm looks like emotional devastation. The kind that shakes your confidence in your own judgment. The kind that makes you question everyone around you. The kind that leaves a mark not on your body, but on your soul. Any one of these things could be what's coming. I'm not here to give you specifics that create fear. I'm here to give you enough clarity that you can prepare. Enough awareness that you can position yourself. Enough spiritual vision that you can see the picture before it becomes reality. And here is the most important thing I can tell you right now. You are not powerless. You are not a victim waiting for something bad to happen. You are a child of the Most High God. You have access to wisdom that transcends human understanding. You have the Holy Spirit living inside you. You have Archangel Michael walking beside you. And no plan formed against you, not by any human being on this earth, will prosper, not while I'm with you. Isaiah chapter 54:17. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. Not this weapon, not this plan, not this person, but you must cooperate with heaven's protection. And cooperation requires action. It requires discernment. It requires courage. The courage to look honestly at the relationships in your life. The courage to acknowledge what your spirit has been telling you. The courage to draw a line. Even if that line means distance from someone you care about. Even if that line hurts. Even if it means a season of loneliness. Even if other people don't understand why. Your protection is worth it. Your peace is worth it. Your future is worth it. I want to speak to the pain you're probably feeling right now. Because if this message is hitting home, if a face has already come to your mind, then there is grief here. Real, honest grief. Because this isn't a stranger. If it were a stranger, you wouldn't feel this way. This is someone who has been part of your story. Someone you laughed with. Someone you cried with. Someone you shared hopes and dreams with. And learning that they are not who you thought they were. That is its own kind of loss. It's the death of a version of them that only existed in your mind. And that grief is real. And it is valid. And God sees it. And He is not asking you to pretend it doesn't hurt. He is not asking you to be cold. He is not asking you to turn your heart to stone. He is asking you to grieve and to be wise. To feel and to see clearly. To love and to protect yourself. Both at the same time. Now I want to talk about something that might be even harder to hear. Because sometimes, not always, but sometimes, the person who is about to harm you is someone you have already had doubts about. Someone you've made excuses for before. Someone who has already shown you glimpses of who they really are. And you saw it. You felt it. But you stayed. Because you saw potential in them. Because you believed they could change. Because the good moments were really good. Because you didn't want to feel like you were abandoning them. Because you were afraid of what it would mean for your life if you walked away. Or because, and this one is the hardest to say out loud, because some part of you felt like you deserved less. Like this was just how relationships were for you. Like you didn't have the right to expect better. I need to stop you right there. Because that is a lie. A flat-out, darkness-engineered lie. You deserve goodness. You deserve loyalty. You deserve people in your life who celebrate you genuinely. Who protect your heart. Who speak truth to you with love. Who would never in a million years use what you've shared with them as ammunition against you. That is not too much to ask. That is the standard. That is what God created relationship and community to look like. And anything that falls short of that standard is not something you have to accept. Let me tell you something about how heaven sees this situation. God does not just see what is happening right now. He sees the entire timeline. He sees what this person was doing 6 months ago when they first started drifting from truth. He sees the small compromises they made, the small justifications, the quiet resentments they fed. He sees the conversation they had with someone else, where your name came up, where things were said that would break your heart, where decisions were made. He sees it all, and he is showing me enough to give to you, not to hurt you, not to turn you into someone suspicious and guarded, but to position you, because there is something else happening here, something beyond just the warning. There is a redirect. Heaven is not just warning you about this person. Heaven is using this situation to move you, to reposition you, to close a door that you would have kept propping open. Because here is the truth. Sometimes God allows us to see someone's true nature, not just so we can protect ourselves from them, but so we can be freed from them, freed to walk into what's next, freed to receive what has been waiting on the other side of this relationship, freed to occupy the space where God actually wants you to be. And that space cannot be occupied while this person is in your life the way they currently are. Think about it. Think about how much energy you have given this relationship, how much mental space this person occupies, how many conversations you have had about them, with yourself, or with someone you trust, how many times you have wondered, questioned, hoped. How much of you has been poured into trying to make this work? Trying to understand, trying to bridge the gap, trying to fix something that was never fully yours to fix. Now imagine that energy, free. Imagine what you could do with it. Imagine how much lighter you would feel. Imagine the creativity that would flow. Imagine the new connections that would have room to grow. Imagine the version of you that emerges on the other side of this. That version is who God has been building you toward. And this moment, as painful as it is part of the architecture of that becoming. I want to pause here for just a moment, because if you've been receiving messages like this one, if you keep finding yourself drawn to words of divine guidance and spiritual protection, that is not a coincidence. Heaven is speaking to you in a season of heightened need. You are in a critical chapter of your life, and staying connected to messages like this, staying open to divine guidance, is one of the most important things you can do for your spiritual protection right now. Don't ignore that pull. It is directional. It is leading you somewhere. Now, let's talk about what you should actually do. Because a message like this without practical guidance is incomplete, and heaven doesn't do incomplete. First, pray. Not a long, complicated prayer. Just an honest one. God, show me clearly who I need to release. Give me the courage to do it. Protect me from what I cannot yet see. And guide my steps in the days ahead. That's it. Short, honest, direct. Heaven responds to sincerity far more than to eloquence. Second, observe without reacting. In the coming days, pay attention. Watch how this person speaks about others. Watch how they respond when you have good news. Watch whether they ask questions to genuinely understand, or to gather information. Watch the energy shift in the room when you talk about your future. Watch, but don't tip your hand. Don't confront yet. Don't give them the warning that you've been warned. Just observe. Third, create some distance. You don't have to make a dramatic announcement. You don't have to send a long text message. You don't have to have a big confrontation. Simply begin to pull back slightly. Be a little less available. Share a little less. Keep your plans a little closer to your chest. Let the conversations become a little more surface level. This is not deception. This is wisdom. This is the serpent and the dove walking together. Fourth, strengthen your inner circle. Who in your life is genuinely for you? Who has shown consistent, unconditional love and support? Who speaks truth to you? Who holds your confidence without question? Draw closer to those people. Intentionally. Invest in those relationships. Because the enemy always tries to isolate us before striking. They want you to feel alone. They want you to feel like you have no one to turn to. Prove them wrong by deepening the bonds that are real and true. Fifth, protect your peace like it is a sacred responsibility. Because it is. Your peace is not a nice to have. It is a spiritual asset. A calm mind hears from heaven clearly. A peaceful heart discerns danger before it arrives. A person who is emotionally regulated cannot be easily manipulated. So protect your peace fiercely. Reduce the noise. Limit the energy drains. Spend time in quiet, in nature, in gratitude, in worship, in anything that restores your sense of who you are and whose you are. There is something else I need to address. Because some of you listening to this right now, you are not just worried about one person. You are actually worn down from a pattern. A pattern of letting the wrong people in. A pattern of trusting too quickly. Of giving too much, too soon. Of being the person who always bends, always accommodates, always forgives. And then finding yourself blindsided when someone takes advantage of that. And you've started to wonder, why does this keep happening to me? What is it about me that attracts this? Am I doing something wrong? Let me speak to that directly. The answer is not that something is wrong with you. The answer is that your capacity for love is extraordinary. And extraordinary love is a magnet. It draws people who genuinely deserve it. But it also draws people who recognize what they can take from it. The work is not to become someone who loves less. The work is to develop the discernment that matches the size of your heart. Because right now, your heart is running faster than your wisdom. And that is not a character flaw. That is a growth edge. And God is using this very situation to help you grow into it. Can I tell you something beautiful? Something that heaven wants you to hold on to? The fact that you can love deeply, even after being hurt, even after being betrayed, even after people have let you down again and again. That is not naivety. That is resurrection energy. That is the same spirit that raised Christ from the dead living inside of you. The ability to rise. The ability to stay soft. The ability to keep believing in goodness even when you have evidence to the contrary. That is one of your greatest gifts. Don't let anyone take it from you. Don't let this situation turn you into someone who walls off their heart. Don't let the fear of being hurt again make you a person who refuses to connect. That is not healing. That is just a different kind of wound. Heal forward. Grow. Develop wisdom. Build discernment. But keep your heart open. Just be wiser about who you let into the tender places. Now I want to talk about mid-January specifically. Because there is a window of vulnerability. And I want you to be spiritually armored during that time. January is a month of new beginnings. People set intentions. People make decisions. People act on plans they have been formulating for months. And this person, they have a plan, a timeline. And January is when they intend to execute it. It might be a conversation they have with someone who matters to you. A decision they make about something you're both connected to. An action they take that positions themselves and leaves you exposed. A revelation that comes out. Something they do that forces a confrontation you weren't ready for. I cannot tell you the exact form it will take. But I can tell you. Do not be caught sleeping. Do not enter January in a fog. Enter it awake. Enter it prayed up. Enter it with your spiritual armor fully on. Ephesians chapter 6:11. Put on the full armor of God, so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. The belt of truth, the breastplate of righteousness, feet fitted with readiness, the shield of faith, the helmet of salvation, the sword of the Spirit. Every single piece. Wear them, not just in January. Starting now, let's talk about what happens after. Because there will be an after. This situation will resolve, and you will be standing on the other side of it. And when you get there, I want you to understand what that moment will feel like. It will feel like breathing fresh air after being in a closed room for too long. It will feel like taking off a heavy coat you didn't even realize you were wearing. There will be some pain. There might be grief. There might be confusion. There might be a moment where you question whether you made the right choice. Where you miss the version of this person you thought you knew. Where you wonder if maybe you misread everything. Stay grounded in that moment. Remind yourself of what you felt when you heard this message. Remind yourself of the inner knowing that confirmed what you were hearing. Remind yourself that heaven doesn't send warnings to be cruel. Heaven sends warnings because the destination on the other side is worth getting to. Because here is what is waiting for you. On the other side of this season. On the other side of this relationship and whatever comes to light. There is clarity. A level of clarity about who you are and what you deserve that you have not had before. There is space. Real, open space in your life. Space for new relationships. Space for new opportunities. Space for God to bring in what He has been preparing for you. There are people. God has people for you. People of genuine integrity. People who will honor your trust. People who will celebrate your gifts without envy. People who will tell you the truth because they love you. People who will stay. And there is a version of yourself waiting on the other side. A wiser version. A stronger version. A version who carries the lessons of this season as wisdom instead of wounds. A version who knows their worth with quiet, unshakable confidence. A version who is no longer available to be treated as anything less. That person is you. They are just a few steps ahead on the path. And this message, this warning, this divine redirection, is the beginning of the journey to meet them. I want to speak to the part of you that is scared. Because it is okay to be scared. It is okay to not want this to be true. It is okay to feel the weight of what it means if everything I've said tonight resonates with you. That weight is real. The implications are real. The changes that may need to happen are real. And real things require real courage to face. But I need you to understand something about your fear. Fear is not the absence of faith. Fear is just the feeling that arises when something matters deeply. You are scared because this matters. This relationship matters. Your life matters. Your future matters. And all of that is good. All of that means you are alive and present and feeling. The question is not whether you feel fear. The question is whether you let fear be the final word. Or whether you let faith have the final word. And faith says, I am not walking this alone. Faith says, God was aware of this before I was. Faith says, the same God who warned me is already working on the outcome. Faith says, my obedience to this message activates heaven's protection in my situation. Faith says, I am a person chosen and known and covered by the Most High God. And nothing that was formed against me will stand. I want to talk about prayer one more time. Because in the days between now and mid-January, prayer is your most powerful weapon. More powerful than confrontation. More powerful than strategy. More powerful than anything you could do in the natural. When you pray about this, don't pray in panic. Don't pray in anger. Don't even pray with a list of requests. Just sit with God. Sit in the quiet. Tell Him what you're feeling. Tell Him what you're afraid of. Tell Him that you trust Him even when you don't fully understand. And then listen, because God is not silent. He will speak, maybe not in words you hear with your ears. Maybe in a peace that settles over you. Maybe in a scripture that comes to mind. Maybe in a conversation you're about to have that drops a critical piece of information in your lap. Maybe in a dream. Maybe in a moment of sudden, crystal clear clarity. However He chooses to speak to you, He will, and you will know it's Him. Because His voice brings peace. Even when His words are uncomfortable. Even when what He's showing you is hard. There is still a peace underneath it. A knowing that you are held. a knowing that you are covered, a knowing that you are not alone. I also want to speak to those of you who are already on the other side of something like this. Maybe you're not in the middle of this specific situation. Maybe you went through it recently. Maybe the betrayal already happened. Maybe mid-January has already come and gone in your life in a different form. Maybe you're watching this because you're still healing, still processing, still putting the pieces together. If that's you, I want you to know something. What you went through was not wasted. It was not a detour. It was not a mistake. It was not evidence that God forgot about you. It was the curriculum. It was the fire that was burning off what couldn't go with you into your next season. And yes, it was painful, genuinely, deeply, life-alteringly painful. And that pain deserves to be honored. Not dismissed, not rushed through, honored. But I also need to tell you this. You stayed. You kept going. You're still here. And that is not a small thing. That is enormous. That is resurrection in action. Every single morning you got up after being hurt by someone you trusted. Every single day you chose to keep moving forward. Every single time you decided not to let bitterness be your identity. Heaven took notice. God took notice. And what you went through has not only shaped you, it has qualified you for rooms you couldn't have entered before, for relationships that require the depth of character you've built, for a level of empathy and wisdom that can only be earned in the fire. You are not damaged, you are developed, you are not broken, you are refined, and the story of your healing is not a cautionary tale. It is a testimony. One that will one day speak life into someone else sitting exactly where you once sat. Now I want to address the people in your life who you can trust. Because they exist, I need you to believe that. Not everyone is operating with a hidden agenda. Not everyone who says they love you is secretly planning to hurt you. There are people in your life right now who are genuinely, wholeheartedly for you. And in this season, as you navigate this warning, as you pull back from the person who has been revealed, I am asking you to lean into those people. Let them in. Let them be there for you. Don't project the wound from one person onto everyone else. That is the trap. That is how one betrayal becomes a life lived in isolation. And God did not design you for isolation. He designed you for genuine community. Imperfect, beautiful, real human connection with people who love you well. So yes, be discerning, be wiser, be more careful about who gets access to the tender places of your heart. But stay open, because the relationships God has ahead for you require an open heart to receive them. Let me say something about the person who is planning to harm you. Because I don't want you to walk away from this message filled with hatred toward them. That is not what this is about. This person, they are a soul, a human being, carrying wounds of their own, making choices from a place of their own brokenness. And what they are doing is wrong. Completely and genuinely wrong. But it is also human. In the worst sense of the word. People hurt other people. Often the ones who hurt us the most are the ones who were hurt the most themselves. That doesn't excuse it. Not even close. But it contextualizes it. And context, for some of you, makes forgiveness more accessible. Not forgiveness as permission. Not forgiveness as reconciliation. Not forgiveness as pretending it didn't happen or doesn't matter. Forgiveness as release. Releasing them from the debt you feel they owe you. Releasing yourself from the prison of carrying their offense. Releasing the whole situation into the hands of God who sees all things and who is a perfect judge. And letting yourself move on. Lighter, freer, forward. Forgiveness might not be available to you right now. And that is okay. Don't force it. Don't perform it. God is not asking you to feel something you don't feel. He is just asking you to stay willing. Willing to eventually get there. Willing to not let this define you. Willing to not let this person have the final say in who you become. That is enough for now. And as you stay in prayer, as you stay connected to heaven's voice, as you keep showing up and moving forward, the forgiveness will come, not all at once, maybe in stages, maybe slowly, but it will come, and when it does, when you feel it settle into your chest like a deep exhale, you will know what freedom feels like. Real, heaven-given freedom. I want to speak about divine timing for a moment, because some of you are wondering, why now? Why is this warning coming now? Why not earlier? Why not before I got so close to them? And I want you to understand something. Heaven's timing is perfect, not comfortable, not always what we would choose, but perfect. You needed this relationship in your life for a season. Even if it's ending in betrayal, even if it's ending in hurt, something was being worked in you through this connection. Something was being developed, a compassion, a wisdom, a capacity for love even in imperfect situations. You needed to be where you were, to learn what you learned, to become who you became in that context. And now, the season is complete, the lesson has been given, and heaven is calling you forward, not just out of something, into something. Because here is the thing about divine redirection. It never just takes you away from something. It always takes you toward something. And what you are being redirected toward is better, deeper, more aligned, more life-giving, more in keeping with who God is calling you to become. You cannot see it fully yet. And that's okay. You don't have to see the whole staircase. You just have to take the next step. And the next step is this. Trust what you're feeling right now. Trust the warning. Trust the inner knowing. Trust the God who arranged for this message to reach you today. At exactly the right time. In exactly the right moment. For exactly this purpose. We are approaching the end of this message. And I want to leave you with something powerful. Something that you can carry with you into the days ahead. Into the difficult conversations. Into the quiet moments of doubt. Into the moments when you're tempted to ignore what you know and go back to what's familiar. You are chosen, not randomly, not accidentally, deliberately, intentionally, specifically chosen. Before you were born, before you made a single decision, before you had any idea what your life would look like, God chose you. And He chose you knowing every betrayal you would ever face, every wound you would carry, every person who would fail you. And He chose you anyway. Because He saw what those things would build in you. And He knew that what they would build was exactly what He needed you to carry. You are protected, not just from what you can see, from what you cannot see, from plans being made in rooms you've never entered, from words being spoken that haven't reached your ears yet, from movements in the spiritual realm that would love nothing more than to derail your destiny, from every hand that has been raised against you without your knowledge. I am that protection, Archangel Michael, warrior of the living God. I have been assigned to you, not because you are perfect, not because you have done everything right, but because you are His, and He takes care of what is His. You are not walking into mid-January blind. You have been warned. You have been armed. You have been given the picture before the moment arrives. And that is a gift. Receive it as such, not with fear, with readiness, with the quiet confidence of someone who knows the one who stands with them, with the deep assurance of a child who knows their father is watching, with the steadiness of a warrior who has already been told the battle ends in victory. Before I close, there is one more thing I need to say, directly to the part of you that is still not sure, that is still hesitating, that is still saying maybe this doesn't apply to me, maybe I'm overreacting, maybe the person I'm thinking of isn't really capable of this. I need you to hear this carefully. Heaven does not send warnings to people who don't need them. You received this message today, not by chance, by appointment. The very fact that a name or a face came to your mind while hearing this is confirmation. The very fact that something inside you resonated, shifted, tightened, that is your spirit saying yes. This is for you. Pay attention. And I am asking you, from the heart of heaven, to honor that inner knowing, to take it seriously, to act on it wisely and prayerfully, to trust that God would not give you vision without giving you protection. You are seen, you are known, you are loved, and you are being kept. Stay close to heaven's voice in the days ahead. Stay alert, stay prayerful, stay rooted in who you are and whose you are. And if you feel the pull to continue receiving guidance and divine messages like this one, follow that pull. It is not random. It is heaven keeping a door open, keeping a line of communication clear. Because this chapter of your story is not over. And there is more you need to hear, more you need to know, more direction that is waiting for you as you move through this season. Stay connected to that guidance. Your spirit needs it, and heaven is faithful to provide it. I am Archangel Michael, and I came today because you were on my assignment. Because heaven heard your quiet prayers. The ones you barely spoke out loud. The ones that were more sighs than sentences. The ones you whispered in the dark when you couldn't sleep. Those prayers were heard, every single one. And this message is part of the answer. Go in peace. Go with your eyes open. Go with your heart guarded but not closed. Go with faith leading and wisdom walking beside it. Go knowing that the path ahead is already being cleared. That the danger you were warned about is already being addressed in the spirit. That the future on the other side of this situation is extraordinary. And that you, yes, you have everything you need to walk through it, to come out stronger, to arrive on the other side of this season. More you, more whole, more alive, more ready, more free than you have ever been in your life. Heaven sees you. God holds you. And you are going to be okay. More than okay. You are going to be transformed. This message was sent from heaven directly to you. Receive it, trust it, act on it, and know that you are never alone. Amen.